in as little as 30 minutes. Conditions apply. The time by Sagicor Bank is...
It is now 7 o'clock. You're tuned to Love 101 FM, and it's time for the Morning Watch.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Toussaint. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org, and if you're overseas and on the move, U.S. listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you're in the UK, 0330-332-6541. Or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live. In the first watch today, demystifying the finance and investment. And in the second watch, jump right in. When is swimming your friend or foe? For our social media question, we ask, what would you need to know to begin some serious investing of your own? Please share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share responses later on in the program, but before all of that, here's our quote.
Chicken Mary are the near, which means danger can lurk in some of the most unexpected places. We should temper, therefore, our most light-hearted moments with a little sobriety.
That's what it means. Good morning, Deidre.
Good morning, Dr. Toussaint. How are you today?
I am doing well. I don't know. How are things in your neck of the woods in regards to the rain?
It is raining. When I came in this morning, not quite sure what it is, what is happening outside right now, but it was raining this morning.
Yeah, you know
Well,
what time?
earlier because it's still morning.
Yeah, you know what I'm going to do, Deidre? I'm going to rope in this morning's I quote and say that it has been raining cats and dogs and chickens. How that sound?
That can work. That can work. Since we're talking about chickens this morning.
All right, the first watch will be back after this break.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised.
What would I do without you? You help me carry on. You help me stay strong. Whenever I'm down and can get through, you lift me up again and going all day long. Precious moments we share with you, everything's so right. It's clear, nothing else can compare to the taste that you bring to life. Mom, take it full of life.
Want a birthday gift? Oreo is celebrating 110 years and giving you the gift. From August 2, buy any 5 Oreo products, expiration no earlier than August 2, and you could unwrap and have a chance to win over 1 million in cash and prizes. You have 3 ways to enter. Upload receipts to OreoPromotions.com, mail entries to Oreo 110 birthday promotion and send to PO Box 2000 CSO, or drop entries along with contact information in boxes at participating stores. Grand draw October 14, 2022. Oreo, stay playful. Authorized under Section 58 of the Betting Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Man on man, it's open house Wednesday inside the mailbox and you get to be our guest. Ladies, you too. Be sure to join us this Wednesday, August 31 at 5:30 p.m. where we'll open the phone lines to hear from the man them. Our open discussion will be about what do men need in a relationship. That's the Mailbox, the program designed for men, hosted by men with guests who are men. And it's going to be an open house this Wednesday, so the phone lines will be open for you to call. The Mailbox happens every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. with hosts Pastor Courtney Morrison and Kevin Bailey, right here on Love 101, the family station. The Mailbox is sponsored by Fossage Company Limited, your electrical, solar, and lighting people.
Get ready for another exciting World of Worship Wednesday inside Alive, 1 to 5, August 31. Stick around for prayer blast at 2 o'clock. More prayer, more power. 2:15, we feature Hillsong United as our worship artist of the day. Then at 3 p.m. inside Community Conversations, we explore areas of St. Thomas. All this and more will come your way inside Alive at 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. on the family station, Love 101, Jamaica 60. Reigniting a nation for greatness.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Now, everyone should develop a workable and consistent money-making plan to sustain themselves. But so many of us are living hand to mouth. Maybe if we knew how to create this plan or better understood the investment and the financial sector, it would make us more confident and able. Maybe if we demystified this world of money, it would get us a step closer. Well, to help us do that this morning, we have online Mrs. Kalila Reynolds, founder and CEO of Reynolds Media Limited, and she's also a financial analyst. Good morning, Mrs. Reynolds.
Hi, good morning.
How's the weather your neck of the woods, by the way?
I think it's raining. Yes, it is raining. It's been raining for a while. I'm in Kingston, by the way.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, let's hit the ground running, Mrs. Reynolds. What are the main differences between saving your money in a regular account and placing it in an investment scheme?
All right, so the main difference is your return. See, we have been taught and conditioned that in order to succeed in life, you have to save, which is partially true, but the extent to which you think it can help you, right? In order to achieve returns, and significant returns, you really need to start investing your money. And it all boils down to risk versus reward. Putting your money in a savings account is very low risk. You're not putting it towards anything. You don't have any. There's a very, very tiny possibility that you will lose any money. On the contrary, you will gain interest. But that interest is so small that you're really not earning anything significant off it. The average interest rates in Jamaica are less than 1%. So like 0.5% interest you're earning. You're probably paying more than what you earn in fees. Because, the banks nowadays, they charge you for everything. They have a fee for, withdrawing your money at the ATM, putting in your money, taking out your money. You write a check, there's a fee. You walk in the bank, you breathe their air, there's a fee, right?
Yeah, I feel that way, yes.
And then, on the other hand, you have inflation, which is at the highest it's been in decades. So right now, we're at about 11% in Jamaica for inflation, meaning that something that cost you one amount last year is going to cost you 11% more this year because of inflation. So if you put your money in savings alone and rely on that alone, you are actually losing money to inflation because your money becomes less valuable. So what cost you $100 last year, because of inflation at 11%, is going to cost you $111 this year. What cost you $1,000 last year is going to cost you $1,110 this year. So prices are going up. The money that you have in your savings account loses value every day due to inflation. So in order to combat this, what we need to start doing, for those who haven't started yet, is actually investing their money. And there are many different ways that you can invest your money, the stock market being one of them. And it has become quite popular here in Jamaica now to invest in the Jamaica Stock Exchange. And that is simply investing in companies, Jamaican companies that are listed on the stock exchange. So you buy shares in those companies, and when the share price goes up, you benefit because let's say you bought a certain number of shares for $5 each, and in a few months the value goes up to $6 or $7, then you make a profit. So that's one way that you make a profit from investing, and the other way that you earn is through dividends, mostly issued through the larger companies listed on the exchange. Many of them pay dividends sometimes quarterly, that's every 3 months, or every 6 months, or every year. You get a share of the profit that the company makes. And in this way, we can help to combat inflation. You're actually earning something off your money, and you're making your money work for you rather than sitting down every day working for a paycheck, because there's only limited numbers of hours in a day that you can work and earn. So while you are working and while you are sleeping, you need to have your money earning additional money for you, and that's the concept behind it.
Yeah, Mrs. Reynolds, before you go to the other ways, I want to backtrack a bit because you had mentioned about the concerns in regards to inflation and bank fees. Could it be argued that that goes across the board? That even when you invest your money, inflation and the fees of the firm, the organization that you have invested your money in would also apply? How would you respond to that?
Well, why I say that investing is a way to beat inflation? Because when you put your money in a savings account, remember you're earning less than 1% interest. When you invest on the stock exchange, you have the potential to earn much, much, much more. As a matter of fact, the average investor on the junior market of the stock exchange last year earned something like 30% on their money, which is, and 30 is higher than 11, right? So you are beating inflation. Your money is making you more money. So if you had invested $10,000 at the end of the year, it would have been $13,000, right? And if you put your money in savings, if you had put $10,000 in savings at the end of the year, it's $10,000.15 basically. You're really not earning anything. And as a matter of fact, it isn't even worth the same $10,000 because of inflation. So yes, it goes across the board, but you have a much greater opportunity to earn with investing as opposed to savings. Now, there is a place for savings, especially for emergencies, and we all see what happened with COVID. You needed access to your money very quickly, especially if you had lost your job or, things were uncertain. You do need to have emergency savings. I'm not saying don't save at all, but you do need to put a portion of your money towards investment.
Any idea of the portion that should be put in savings, regular bank savings, or what percentage would you say?
Well, the general advice is to try and have 3 to 6 months of expenses saved up. So once you have your 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved up, then you can start investing. But I really think that you should start before that. That's the general advice, like I said, because investing can also help you meet your savings goals. Just that if you take that approach of investing before saving or investing towards savings, then you are taking a risk, and you have to understand that you are taking a risk that if something happens and you don't have immediate access to your money, or the stock market declines, like what happened during COVID, then you just have to understand that that's a risk that you're willing to take, and you weigh the pros and cons and decide whether you want to take that risk.
Before we go to the other ways and means of investing, in regards to the stock market, there many persons I gather are not comfortable with putting their money in stocks because they believe it's a form of gambling. What say you on that?
I don't agree at all that it's a form of gambling. It is investing in Jamaican companies, for the most part, companies that you know. So you can study the stock market and see what companies are doing. And it's so gambling, when you go the lottery, for example, you pick random numbers. It is not the same in stock market investing. You're not picking random companies to invest in. Well, some people do. That is indeed gambling if you're just closing your eyes and picking random companies. But you can study the market, and companies are obligated to post their financial results on the stock exchange's website every 3 months. So you can see exactly what the companies are doing, what investments they're making, how they're growing, whether they're losing money or gaining money. And there's a lot of information available about the companies that are listed on the stock exchange. So I wouldn't say it's akin to gambling at all, because there's so much information on which you can base your investment decisions.
Yes. All right. We're up on a break, Mrs. Reynolds. I think we're doing well so far. Please hold those thoughts. We'll be right back.
Get better coverage for yourself and your family as low as $800 a month. The time by Jane Life Vest from Jane Life Insurance is
7:16.
When you think of glasses, it's Blue Shades Optical. Your vision or focus. For all your eyeglass needs and more, come see us for stylish frames, lens, comprehensive eye exams, medical care for glaucoma, chemical burns, pterygium, and screening for diabetic eye disease. Plus, our big back-to-school sale of up to 40% discount. Visit us now at 3.5 Caledonia Road, Mandeville, beside Proactive Lifestyle upstairs near Express Fitness, or call us at 876-835-5547. When you think of glasses, it is Blue Shades Optical.
Monkey Pox is in Jamaica. If you are experiencing fever, intense headache, muscle aches, and/or rash on the skin, you must isolate immediately and call ahead to your health center or doctor before visiting. All members of the public should wear a mask, frequently wash hands, and practice physical distancing. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Win a bag of cash for back to school with Alliance MoneyGram Money Transfer. Every MoneyGram money transfer you collect at an Alliance agent from now until September 9 gives you a chance to win a share of $2.8 million in cash. That's a bag of cash. 10 winners of $20,000 from each parish, right in time for back to school from Alliance.
A bag of things for back to school.
Alliance, a member of Sagicor Group Jamaica. Conditions apply.
Tell me where you get the money transferred.
Alliance.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint, and in the first watch, we are seeking to demystify finance and investment. And in so doing, we have online, taking us through the paces, Mrs. Kalila Reynolds, financial analyst, founder and the CEO of Reynolds Media Limited. Before the break, Mrs. Reynolds, we're looking at some options in regards to investment, and we were focusing for the time being on the stock market. Are there other options you'd like to share with us?
Right. So like I was saying at the beginning, the higher the risk, the higher the reward. So there are other investment options. Some are high risk, some are low risk, right? Putting your money in a savings account, it does pay interest, but it's not very much, and that's because it's very low risk. You also have the option of doing what they call a certificate of deposit, which is you giving the bank your money for a specific period of time, and they tend to pay higher interest on that. So it's a fixed savings account, meaning that you can't take out your money for the duration of the certificate of deposit. So let's say it's for 6 months or for a year or for 2 years, they're going to pay you higher interest. So you can earn up to about 4% interest the longer you allow them to keep your money without you having access to it. And that is a form of investment, just that it's fairly low risk, but it's also low reward. So you go from that, and then you have stock market, which can give you on average about 10 to 15% return. Then you go into riskier assets. You also have, before I go to the riskier assets, you also have bonds, which is basically you lending your money. So now you become the bank. You are lending your money to a corporation or a government. So if you buy a government bond, for example, they're going to pay you interest on the bond. And it is depending on who you're lending the money to. It can be high or low risk. So if you are lending your money to a very safe company that's been around for years, if you are lending your money to a company that is highly rated, that has a great credit rating, think about you getting credit, right? If you are a high risk borrower, they're going to charge you more interest. If you're trying to buy a car but you have terrible credit, your interest rate is going to be higher.
Mhm.
If you're trying to buy a home but you have terrible credit, they're going to charge you a higher interest rate than somebody who has great credit, because the risk associated with lending to you is higher. So it goes in for bonds. If I'm investing in, let me see, what's a controversial country right now? If I'm investing in maybe Ukraine because they're in the middle of a war, or Russia,
Yes.
the
Yes.
interest is, if I'm buying those bonds right now,
Right.
you may have a potentially, and this is just a general example. I have no idea what Ukraine and Russia bonds are actually worth right now, right? But
Right.
for argument's sake, the interest might be higher because they're in a war right now, and
Yeah.
it's very risky to lend
Right.
to those countries. So if you're willing to take that risk, you can earn a higher interest, but understand that you're taking a risk, as opposed to investing in like U.S. Treasury bills, U.S. government Treasury bills. The United States is seen as a relatively safe country, a very strong economy. Maybe not right now per se, but
Mhm.
in terms of the global economy, they're one of the major leaders of the global economy. So you're going to earn lower interest on that because they are a relatively safe and stable economy. But you're taking a lower risk, they're going to earn a lower interest rate. So you have bonds, you have at the bottom, you have savings, and you have bonds, and you have the stock market. Then you start getting into riskier asset classes, for example, cryptocurrency, which the possibility you can make
Yes. Yes.
hundreds of % of return, but you're taking a much, much higher risk because cryptocurrency is very vulnerable, is very volatile.
What's that, by the way? What's that, by the way,
down.
Mrs. Reynolds? So what is cryptocurrency all about?
So cryptocurrency is simply a digital way of making payments or storing value. So Bitcoin is the most popular one, and you can use Bitcoin to pay digitally, and it's an unregulated form of currency. So there's no central bank like the Bank of Jamaica or the Federal Exchange in the U.S. that regulates cryptocurrency, and that has fueled its appeal to many people, that they don't have to go through a centralized exchange or a centralized system for you to be able to use cryptocurrency. There's no regulation, but then that also makes it a higher risk. So, for example, the Jamaican currency, there's a central bank that regulates that, and they step in when they see the currency depreciating too rapidly. They will step in and do something to try to stabilize it. There's nobody who's going to do that for cryptocurrency. So you can see it swing wildly from day to day. Like last year, for example, one Bitcoin was worth almost 70,000 US dollars, and to date, just around 20,000. So huge losses. But on the other side, if you had invested, say, in 2015, when it was worth, maybe $10,000, I'm not sure how much it was worth in 2015, or probably less than that. And then you sold at the high when it was worth $70,000, then you would have gained, a tremendous profit. But like I said,
returns.
things like that, you have to weigh the risk and the return. You also have foreign exchange trading, which a lot of people had become popular in the past couple of years. A lot of people were doing that. Same thing. It's more risky than investing in stable companies that you know and can see, and you walk into them every day. You go into a Fontana that's listed, you go into NCB that's listed. You know these companies. Grace Kennedy. These are companies that you're very, very familiar with. So it's less risky, but you also just have to be aware of what level of risk you want to take, and that will determine what assets you invest in. There's also real estate. Real estate has been a very popular type of investment for many years. There's so many ways that you can make money from investing in real estate. One, the property value usually goes up when you invest in real estate. Two, you can do a rental. So you can do a long-term rental, so a tenant who lives in your house for 5-10 years. You can do short-term rentals like Airbnb. There's so many different ways that you can benefit from real estate investing.
Yeah, there are some terminologies that are used in financing and investing, and I just want you to explain some of them. The more common ones, is it FICO score or FICO score, whatever how it's pronounced? What's that?
What's
yes, and the net worth and stuff like rebalancing and
All right, you
parity.
can go through them one by one. So
Yeah.
the FICO score is simply your credit score, and that's a term that's used in the United States. That term isn't really used here. I forget exactly what it stands for, but it's a term that's used in the United States, and it simply means your credit score. So it's how creditworthy are you? And I was explaining earlier how when you want to borrow from a financial institution, or even a non-financial institution, you go to, for example, check your credit score. And they do have credit scores in Jamaica. There are agencies that track your credit score, and that simply is determined by your bill payment history and the credit that you do have. So if you have credit cards and you pay on time every month and you pay in full every month, they even track your bill payments. So you're paying DPS, you're paying Digicel, Flow, the water bill. If you're paying on time and in full every month, that will help you to have a good credit score. If you take a loan and you're paying on time in full every month, you have no problems. They don't have to be calling you to get their payment. That's going to give you a good credit score. On the contrary, if you have the opposite and you're always late on your payments or you miss payments, that's going to affect your credit score. And when you go try borrow, they're going to give you a higher interest rate because you are not as credit worthy as somebody who they know is reliable, who they know is going to repay on time every month.
An interest of time, net worth, rebalancing, and parity. What are those?
So net worth is simply how much you are worth on paper. So you're going to add up all the assets that you own in one column, and you're going to take all of your liabilities in the other column. So any debts that you have, anybody you owe, those are liabilities. All your assets are things that you own. So if you own your motor vehicle outright, that's an asset to you because you own it and you don't have any loan on it. You paid off the loan, that's an asset. If you own a home, that's an asset. If you own computers, equipment, anything that you own, those are your assets. And so you're going to put those in the asset column. And then in the liabilities column, you add up everything that you owe. And if how much you own, if your assets are greater than your liabilities, then you have a positive net worth. If your liabilities are greater than your assets, you have a negative net worth. You owe more than you own. So that's simply what net worth is.
Rebalancing?
Rebalancing has to do with your portfolio. So like I was explaining earlier, you can have different asset classes that you invest in. So when I said assets, your portfolio, your stock option, your stocks are also part of your portfolio assets. You own stocks, you own shares in companies, you own bonds, you may own some cryptocurrency, you may own some property. Those are your assets. And you had asked an important question earlier about how much you should put in savings versus investments. Well, when you're looking at your portfolio, which is everything that you own, you want to allocate a certain percentage towards certain things. So if you are somebody who likes to take a lot of risk because you like the rewards and you don't mind when things come crashing down, you can manage that, then you can have, and if you're young, you can bounce back from that easily. If you're older, you might not want to do that, right? Because you're close to retirement. So rebalancing simply means changing up the spread of the assets in your portfolio. So if you're young, like you said, and you have a lot of assets in cryptocurrency, but then you realize, oh, I'm not as young as I used to be. I'm getting older. I want to move my assets, my money to safer investments. I want to do more bonds right now. Or because of this high inflation environment, I want to mix things around. I want to shake things up and have less high risk and more low risk. Then that's rebalancing. You're rebalancing your portfolio to meet your new goals or to meet the new environment.
Okay, we have 1 minute. Parity?
Parity simply means things are equal. So if you have two assets that trade around the same price, they're on parity.
Okay. Well, for the investor out there, I think you have you have started with the appetite of many persons. Any closing thoughts, final thoughts before we go in half a minute?
Yeah, so my message has always been to open your investment account as soon as possible. There are so many opportunities, but you can't take advantage of them until you actually have your account set up, and it's fairly easy. You can go to any of the 14 licensed brokers in Jamaica and open your investment account. It will take, the process is very similar to opening a bank account. You need your name, your TRN, proof of address, proof of income, and 2 references. And you can go and open your account so that when opportunities arise, you don't have to go through that extra step. You're already set up and you can take advantage of the opportunity immediately.
Thanks so very much, Mrs. Reynolds, for the wealth of information you have shared with us this morning in the time allotted. Please have a productive and safe day and keep dry. All right.
Thank you. You're welcome.
God bless you. All right, listeners, the Morning Watch will return in just a moment.
Talk to Jane Bank today to find out about achieving your own sweet home in 30 days. The time by Jane Bank Mortgage is
7:31.
Tired of the high interest rates and the whole heap of loan payments every month? Take a debt consolidation loan from AIM to pay credit card bills and all other high interest rate loans from other institutions. Make one low monthly payment to AIM and take home some extra money in your pocket. That's financial freedom. One loan, one low payment, more money in your pocket. Call AIM today to lower your loan payments. And remember, you won't find a better deal elsewhere. Guaranteed.
Juicy patty them double up the choices. And we know say you want go like it. And you face start your morning off right with a cup of porridge full up of beer niceness. 2 combination which one we try first. When you a go to school or you a go to work. Forward we double can't be twice the flavor. Or could have the pecan you end up a beer for. Try our pecan porridge. That's peanut mixed with hominy. Or our double corn porridge. That's hominy mixed with cornmeal. Try it today at Juicy Patties.
Available at participating stores.
Love 101 presents Facts on Monkeypox. The monkeypox virus comes from the same family of viruses as smallpox, but it is not related to chickenpox. Common symptoms of monkeypox are fever, headache, muscle aches, and swollen lymph nodes. Monkeypox also causes a rash that looks like raised bumps on the skin. The virus typically spreads through bodily fluids or by touching the rash of someone who has monkeypox. Animals can also pass the virus to humans either by being scratched or bitten by the animal or by preparing, eating meat, or using products from an infected animal. That was Facts on Monkeypox, presented by Love 101 FM.
The moment we've been waiting for is here. It's time to go back to school. Come to Payless and find the best styles and prices for your favorite back-to-school products. Buy one item and get the second one 50% off. Restrictions apply. Valid through September 12th.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now look at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. In the Observer, on Amber, government gets ready to roll out new Road Traffic Act. Private motor car drivers and motorcyclists, first targets. Also in the Observer, hailing Caribbean excellence, Adam Stewart, Orlando Patterson, Sir Richie Richardson among 16 to receive UWI honorary degrees. And then in the Gleaner, Mexicans march to demand a search for 100,000 missing persons. Can you imagine? New York to restrict gun carrying after Supreme Court ruling. And in the Loop News, Jamaicans urged to treat homeless persons with respect. Certainly. Then we see also in the Loop News, search on for 17-year-old girl gone missing in St. Andrew. We are in prayer for her and the family. And so those are some of the major stories and headlines in our newspapers. Coming up next, we'll read some of the feedback from our social media question. What would you need to know to begin some serious investing of your own? Leave a comment on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, Love 101 FM Jamaica, or WhatsApp 876-997-3125. Soon come back.
Become the hero on the scene by taking the COVID vaccine. Get vaccinated as soon as you get all the facts. Don't listen to the rumors. This vaccine might just make it possible for teachers to sit face to face with schoolers. This vaccine make it safer for everybody, from the young to the elderly. Don't you want to go back to living normally when things were more orderly? And if you want to live a long good life, then we all have to do what's right. So let's get vaccinated along with the heroes on the front line.
A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
What is love? Love is what my mom did to raise me right. I guess that's why the best dressed chicken is the only chicken in my home. It's grown with no antibiotics ever, so that means it was raised right too. The only thing I can't figure out is what mom does to give it that little extra love. The best dressed chicken is simply the best chicken. If anyone's going to add something to my best dressed chicken, it's going to be me.
This is your moment.
No antibiotics ever is another way the best dressed chicken makes life delicious. Look for our no antibiotics ever promise on every package.
CIBC First Caribbean reminds customers that our ABM cards will be deactivated on August 31, 2022. If you haven't already done so, please upgrade to our Visa debit card now by visiting your home branch to request a card. If you have already requested a card, when collecting it, please bring with you a valid photo ID, proof of address, and documentation to confirm your source of income. CIBC First Caribbean thanks you in advance for collecting your Visa debit card as soon as possible.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now join Deirdre for a look at how our Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp friends answered today's question. What would you need to know to begin some serious investing of your own? Deirdre.
Okay, so we have one response. Yvette from Florida, she says no. So you need to start now. That was her response.
Yeah, right. So bang on target there. All right, thank you very much. The responder from Florida, is it?
Yes.
Yes, we need to start now. All right, speaking about now, we are supposed to be segueing into our second watch. Is any of our guests on, Deirdre? Deirdre, can you hear me?
Dr. Toussaint?
Yes. Okay. Do we have a guest on?
Yes, we do.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now, in light of the recent drowning of 3 Jamaican young men, how confident are you in the water? They say you can drown in a teaspoon of water. So imagine the ocean. When you go swimming, diving, or playing, be it in the pool, at the beach, or in the river, how careful are you and aware of the conditions of that body of water? What do we need to know besides how to float? Well, to discuss these and other related issues, we have joining us Mr. Nathan Johnson, Senior Assessor of Swim Jamaica, and he's also a lifeguard and a swimming coach. Good morning, Mr. Johnson. Thanks for joining us. Mr. Johnson? Deirdre, can you hear me? I'm not hearing Mr. Johnson. And I know that you're having challenges with the weather.
Hello?
Yes, Mr. Johnson? Mr. Johnson, can you hear me? I'm not hearing Mr. Johnson. Can you hear me, Mr. Johnson?
All right, Dr. Toussaint, I'm going to try and see if I can get him, and then we will reconnect.
All right, let's have a break, and then we'll be right back.
Right.
Get ready for another exciting World of Worship Wednesday inside Alive, 1 to 5, August 31. Stick around for prayer blast at 2 o'clock. More prayer, more power. 2:15, we feature Hillsong United as our worship artist of the day. Then at 3 p.m. inside Community Conversations, we explore areas of St. Thomas. All this and more will come your way inside Alive at 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. on the family station, Love 101, Jamaica 60. Reigniting a nation for greatness.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for your patience and understanding. We're having some technical challenges in connecting and reconnecting with our guest. Our guest is Mr. Nathan Johnson, Senior Assessor of Swim Jamaica, and he's also a lifeguard and a swimming coach as we examine the whole matter of swimming, whether it's our friend or our foe. Good morning, Mr. Johnson. Good to have you.
Morning. Thanks for having me.
Great. All right, let's see if we can dive right in. What are the benefits of swimming, would you say, especially when compared with other physical activities?
Well, there are a lot of benefits of swimming. All right, not only there are a lot of benefits, but also know that swimming is also a lifetime skill, right? So you can have swimming as a fun activity. You can have swimming as a thing that, say, therapy. And swimming is the only thing that goes with any other sport. So if you're an athlete or a footballer, then you also use swimming as well.
Yeah. So how does it square with running and walking or jogging and walking?
Repeat that question, please.
How does it square when compared with jogging and walking?
All right, so swimming is a thing that, as I said before, it's not only a sport, but when you do swimming, it works all the muscles inside out. So let's say running now. When you run, you would normally feel a bit tired. But swimming, you would feel more relaxed when you're doing that.
All right. Are there different types of swimming, and what are the advantages therein?
All right, so the different types of swimming now. So at a competitive level, there are 4 types of swimming, 4 types of stroke: the freestyle, the backstroke, the breaststroke, and the butterfly. Right? So let's say
Yeah, Mr. Johnson, still with us? Daydream? I'm not hearing Mr. Johnson. All right.
We seem to have lost Mr. Johnson. I'm going to try and reconnect.
Let's take another break, listeners. We'll be right back.
Planning to sit the January CXC CSEC exams privately? Register with Overseas Examinations Commission before the registration deadline, October 14, 2022. Visit our Kingston office or Montego Bay office to complete your application form or send an email to help@overseasexams.org.jm. Follow our social media pages at Overseas Exams for more details. Remember, if you plan to sit the January CXC CSEC exams privately, the registration deadline is October 14, 2022.
The first sound they make is to simply let the world know they're here. And then it's our duty to help them show the world why they're here in the first place.
Give them every advantage with the Guardian Achiever, a plan that provides for their educational dreams and protects their health and life in the process. For more information, call 888-4LIFE to speak to an advisor or visit myguardiangroup.com.
am Sarah and Edwards, announcer at the family station Love 101. It takes a village to raise a child. Let us all endeavor to look after our nation's children. They are the future of our country. Let's reignite the love.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. We apologize for the breaks we have been having in transmission and in the flow of our program this morning. We're having some technical challenges, but we're trying to work it out as we go along. And we're talking about swimming in light of the death of at least 3 young people recently. And our condolences to the family, friends, relatives of those individuals. And we have online Mr. Nathan Johnson, Senior Assessor of Swim Jamaica, and he's a lifeguard and a swimming coach. Welcome back, Mr. Johnson. Great. So you're telling us about the different styles or different types of swimming.
Right. So when at a competitive level of swimming, you have 4 different types of stroke. You have the freestyle, you have the backstroke, you have the butterfly, and you have the breaststroke. These strokes are so when you can swim, you actually can swim and do these strokes. It's amazing, very amazing.
And all of them have their unique advantages, or all of them is the same thing?
Well, yes, they have their unique advantages. Like for the freestyle, a lot of people are familiar with the freestyle and the breaststroke because one, the freestyle is a much easier stroke to do than, let's say, the butterfly or the backstroke.
Right.
Also, the breaststroke is a much easier stroke, so a lot of people are more familiar with the freestyle or the breaststroke.
Yes. Well, what are some of, apart from, of course, the possibility of drowning, are there any disadvantages to swimming, would you say?
Well, there are a lot of disadvantages when you don't know how to swim. Right? So
tell us some of them. Tell us some of them, Mr. Johnson, as from your experience.
All right. Disadvantages: when you don't know how to swim, you become fearless of the water. You become fearful of the water. Right? So, example: you go to the beach with friends. You would, and you cannot swim. Then you would have been so fearful that you cannot go into the water. Right? And also, let's say you go to the pool then, because a lot of non-swimmers, when they go to the pool, they always go to the deep side of the pool. I don't know why, but a lot of non-swimmers always tend to go to the deeper side of the pool. So that's a disadvantage. You fear the water then.
Yeah. What about muscle aches and all of that? I mean, can swimming create physical challenges as a result?
It can. When you don't practice doing the stroke correct, it can.
Yes. And which one of them of the 4 that you mentioned is more likely to create that challenge?
The butterfly.
Why is that?
That stroke, if you don't know how to do that stroke, you can develop shoulder injury. Right.
Wow. You mentioned about pool recently or a while ago. What are the differences between swimming in a pool vis-a-vis in the sea or the river?
All right. So the differences between in a pool, the water is in a confined space, which reduce less hassle than it would make in any of the other 3 bodies of water. And as you know, in a river, beach, and sea, there are a lot of hazards like rocks, trees. So it would make each of these 3 bodies of water have hazards, right? So it would make can cause serious injury if not fatal. So the pool The pool is different because you can actually know where to go in the pool.
Am I hearing from you that you think to swim in a pool is the best of the three?
Well, I would say yes, because the pool, you have rules, and if you follow those rules, you can't go wrong.
Right. But what about the fact that you have the water there? I don't want to use the word stagnant, but it's certainly not free flowing as in the sea, or definitely not free flowing as the river. You kind of pick up viruses there, bacteria, I don't know.
Yes, well, if the pool is not clean, then you can, especially ear infections and stuff like that.
And if one has to swim in the sea or the river, what are some of the recommendations that you would give? Words of advice?
Some of the recommendations for the sea and river, well, do not go out of bound. Like at the sea, you have most beaches, you have a line that you must not cross. So if you can't swim, don't cross it. and you know the wave also can take you out. So always try as much as possible to be safe.
And what's a safe depth in terms of the pool, the sea, the river, for someone who is a non-swimmer or just learning to swim?
Can you repeat, please?
Yeah, what's a safe depth in terms of the pool, the river, and the sea for someone who is a non-swimmer or just learning to swim? What's safe, would you say?
Well, for a non-swimmer, just don't go out too far. Don't go in the deep. Just always stay in the shallow.
Yeah, but what height? What height you would recommend for a non-swimmer? How would you determine safety?
About 5 or about 5 meters.
Yeah.
About 5 or 5. Yeah, that's good.
Yes. What are the do's and don'ts before, during, and after swimming, generally speaking? Do's and the don'ts. Let's start with the do's.
All right. So for the do's of swimming, it is important that you learn the skill, right? It is important that you get comfortable in the water. That is very important, because if you're not comfortable and you don't have the skill, then it can cause a lot of things. It can cause you to panic and stuff like that. So it is very important for you to be comfortable and have the skill of swimming.
Yes. Any other do's?
Well, there are a lot of them. The list of do's, it's a lot.
Okay.
A lot.
Yes. Any more you want to share with us?
Yeah, man. All right. So always be prepared. Be knowledgeable. Right? That's how to do. When you're prepared and you're knowledgeable about swimming, then you're good to go.
Any don'ts? What should we not do before, during, and after?
You don't. Try as best as possible never to swim alone. That is important.
Okay.
And always listen. The example here at the pool, always listen to the lifeguard or the person who is in charge.
That's important, Mr. Johnson. Don't swim alone.
Yeah, that's very important. Very, very important. That goes for even swimmers. People who can swim, they always tend to go over their limit. Right? The example, you go to the beaches or the rivers, and you can swim. You always want to show off your skill. So I would always advise, try best as possible never to swim alone.
What about even before? Should people not eat before they go swimming?
No, do not eat before swimming. That's an important one. Do not eat before swimming.
And why not?
All right. All right. Example. Let me give you a quick example. So you're out there, right, swimming, and you have a heavy meal before swimming, and let's say you panic, right? Once water go into your mouth, the next thing will happen is vomiting. That can lead to serious injuries, not fatal. So I would say do not eat before swimming.
After you have finished swimming, is there anything that we should do or shouldn't do immediately after swimming?
Immediately after swimming, what you should do
or not do?
All right. What not to do after you finish swimming? What not to do is. What not to do is.
I mean, can you go into an exercise routine? Should you go into an exercise routine immediately after? Hello, Mr. Johnson. All right. We're going to try and get back to Mr. Johnson so we can wrap up our discussion in a short while.
Man on man, it's Open House Wednesday inside the mailbox, and you get to be our guest. Ladies, you too. Be sure to join us this Wednesday, August 31 at 5:30 p.m., where we'll open the phone lines to hear from the man them. Our open discussion will be about what do men need in a relationship. That's the Mailbox, the program designed for men, hosted by men with guests who are men. And it's going to be an open house this Wednesday, so the phone lines will be open for you to call. The Mailbox happens every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. with hosts Pastor Courtney Morrison and Kevin Bailey, right here on Love 101, the family station. The Mailbox is sponsored by Fossage Company Limited, your electrical, solar, and lighting people.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Of course, we're having some technical challenges this morning, perhaps associated with the weather, the inclement weather. But we still have online, I believe, Mr. Nathan Johnson. Still with us, Mr. Johnson?
Yeah, man, I'm here.
Great. Well, we're winding down. We have about 2 minutes. But I need to ask you, because you mentioned a while ago about the matter of panicking. Now, panicking has a lot to do with drowning. What would you say are the physiological and psychological aspects behind drowning?
All right, so how not to panic? All right, be responsible enough to learn about something that you are getting involved with, right? And take time to learn the craft. In the case of swimming, you have to be able to do all the different levels to make sure you feel comfortable in the water. So you basically go back to basics, right? So you learn how to float, you learn how to control the breathing, the kick. So you basically go back to basics.
So drowning, you mentioned you're focusing on panicking again. What's the role of that? What does that do to an individual? How can one prevent that? Seriously speaking.
Well, why not to panic? When we panic, it causes us to not think clearly, and therefore make it harder for us to perform the necessary emergency measures that is required, potentially to save life.
And no matter of saving life, as we wrap up, if you see somebody in distress, what are your recommendations?
Well, if someone is in distress, if someone is drowning as a non-swimmer or if you're not trained, then it is best not to get involved. Because if you're involved and you can't swim and you don't have the experience, then it can become more dangerous.
Yeah, both persons will drown.
Right.
Yeah.
And we drown because the lack of exposure, the training, the know-how of swimming. We drown because we have a fear especially when in an unknown environment. So when a person realizes their life is in danger, the natural reaction is panic.
Right.
And
All right.
yeah, and on the,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, believe it or not, we're out of time now, Mr. Johnson. I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning. We are sorry about the challenges we've been having, but I think we got the gist of what you would tell us on this matter. Have a productive and safe day, sir.
All right, yeah, man. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. Join us again tomorrow as we continue to set the stage for a discussion of topical and controversial issues. For information on how to get copies of this program, please call our production department 876-968-95967. This has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale, and our guests. I'm Dylan Toussaint. Hand you back to Love in the Morning with DJ Parchment.
The NHF is here for you, helping Jamaican residents